In 1906, Upton Sinclair's novel The Jungle was published. It was a gruesome work of fiction exposing the true life details of the dangerous working conditions, unsafe production practices, and general abuses caused by corporate practices in the pre-regulation meatpacking industry of America. It tells the story of Lithuanian immigrants navigating a world of impoverished squalor, grueling work, and crippling debt. In this story, we read about political corruption through vote buying. This corruption allows the meatpacking and canning industries to ignore basic safety methods in favor of profit and leads to harm to their employees. People are overworked, pregnancy leave is practically non existent, and getting injured on the job in dangerous working conditions is enough to end your employment. Women are exposed to sexual harassment without any protection or recourse. Most importantly, this story shows that when left to their own devices, corporations will default to profit over all else. The safety of their employees, and by extension their consumers, isn't even a consideration. Self-regulation doesn't work when the goal is maximum profitability. Employee casualties are just a cost of doing business. Now, imagine this was actually promoted directly by the president. I'm not going to retell the entire story here. Suffice to say that every tragedy that falls upon the characters would have been mitigated with the protections of enforced regulations. Regulations and the agencies that enforce them are put in place to protect the population of the United States. The agencies operate independent of the three branches of government and without allegiance to any political party. They protect our food, maintain the quality of our drugs, help maintain clean air and water, and work to make transportation safer. In a move that reeks of authoritarianism, President Trump signed an executive order called Ensuring Accountability. This order essentially revokes the independence of regulatory and oversight agencies. This order states that only the President or the Attorney General have an official opinion on what is legal and what, how, and when regulations apply. This order gives the President direct control over all independent regulatory agencies like the FEC, the FCC, the FTC, and the SEC. The order places these agencies under direct oversight of the White House, also known as the President in this case. Trump is someone who managed to bankrupt his casinos and several other business enterprises. Exactly what does he have that he has shown to show that he has any kind of expertise to justify his exclusive control over these agencies? When has he ever proven he has the skills and understanding to provide this oversight? Dangerously enough, the SEC is the agency that specifically regulates Wall Street. What is stopping him and his cronies from committing insider trading? What if he decides to weaponize an agency against a political opponent? The FTC can now target companies that oppose Trump while granting preferential treatment to those who align with his often unconstitutional policies. The FEC oversees campaign finance and election integrity. That's now under White House control. Does anyone else see how this is a direct conflict of interest? The president can now directly influence how elections are regulated. What about the FDA and the EPA? Trump already has shown his anti-intellectual approach to science during his last presidency. We can expect more anti-science claims on medicine and nutrition issues. The president can now end environmental protections without regulatory consequences. He can even control what gets researched and if the results are ever released to the public. The implication is that we no longer have neutral enforcement of laws and regulations. Everything will be determined by and dictated by our level of loyalty to the president. This includes decisions in funding for regulatory agencies, a decision previously handled by Congress. In addition to all of this, the law itself is now subject to Trump and Bondi's opinions. This in effect can allow laws to be rewritten based on whim. He can now change how laws are interpreted and enforced. This creates legal inconsistency and prevents agencies from fighting against directives that are corrupt, illegal, or unconstitutional. This is because Trump's interpretations are all that matter. The order that requires the installation of liaisons in all regulatory agencies. These are officials out in place to make sure that the agencies are aligned with Trump and his interpretations. Agency directors will not have the ability to act without direct White House approval. This is all based on the fringe authoritarian unitary executive theory. This is the idea that the president has sole control over the entire executive branch. This is in direct opposition to the Republican claim that they are for limited government and their stated support of checks and balances. This has all become false rhetoric used only to limit the power of their opposition. In this executive order, well, I should say, if this executive order isn't challenged and blocked, we may functionally lose our democracy. What makes this even more concerning is that the Supreme Court leans conservative, with 3 justices appointed by Trump. Trump has said, "If I'm saving my country, it's not against the law." This statement tells us all we need to know about his intentions. Please like and subscribe for more content like this. Ring the bell for updates.